Welcome to the deep dive. We take your sources, unpack them, and really try to help you get a handle on complex information quickly.
Exactly. And today we're diving into these pages. You've sent us excerpts from George Orwell's 1984.
Yeah, quite a text. And our mission for you today is to explore the world depicted just in these pages.
Right. We're looking at how it functions, what it tells you about power, truth, the individual's place in it all.
And crucially, we're sticking only to what's right here in these excerpts you shared.
No outside info, just the text itself.
Okay, so let's set the scene. You're basically dropped straight into it. First impression. A hallway smelling of boiled cabbage and old rag mats. Pretty grim.
Instantly evocative, isn't it? And there's that massive poster on the wall, way too big for indoors, this huge face, black mustache.
And those words, Big Brother is watching you. Right there.
And the feeling is immediate. Those eyes, they seem to follow you around the room, even from the poster.
The text also gives you this sense of physical drag straight away. Winston, he's what, 39, with a varicose ulcer above his ankle.
Yeah, and he's trudging up 7 flights of stairs because the lift's broken. Again.
Always broken. Blamed on saving electricity for hate week, whatever that is yet.
Yeah.
It just adds to the general decay, you know.
Mm-hmm. And then inside his flat, the surveillance gets, well, personal. This thing called the telescreen.
Ah, the telescreen, this metal plaque on the wall. It's playing sounds like figures about pig iron production.
But it's also watching him, watching you, essentially.
Yeah.
You can turn the sound down, dim it a bit.
But you can't switch it off. Not completely. The text is very clear on that.
And you have to face it, put on this expression of quiet optimism. Imagine that. Constantly performing.
It's intense. And there are other details painting the picture for you, aren't there? Like the Victory gin.
Oh, yeah. That colorless, oily, sickly stuff. Part of the background noise, the taste of this world.
And the ministries get mentioned early. Truth, plenty, peace. And the one that sounds, frankly, terrifying. The Ministry of Love.
Yeah, Minilove. The description you get is chilling. No windows at all.
Surrounded by barbed wire, steel doors, machine gun nests.
And patrolled by these gorilla-faced guards in black uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
It's presented as a place you absolutely cannot get into unless they take you there.
Right, so that's the atmosphere you're plunged into. Let's start unpacking the mechanics of control you see described.
Okay, first off, the sheer pervasiveness of Big Brother. It's not just that one poster.
No, his face is literally everywhere the text tells you. On coins.
And the eyes still follow you, even on the coins.
On stamps, book covers, banners, posters, cigarette packets. It hammers at home. Everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Always the eyes watching you and the voice enveloping you.
Asleep or awake, working or eating, indoors or out of doors. In the bath or in bed, no escape. That line really captures it. It's total.
And that telescreen we mentioned is central, isn't it? It's the main tool.
Absolutely. Not just broadcasting, but listening, watching, always. Your facial expression is part of your survival.
And then there's the enforcement arm. The thought police.
Ah, yes. Their existence is just a given, a certainty.
Mm-hmm.
They will get you for thought crime.
Which the text calls the essential crime. The one that contains all others. Just thinking it is enough.
Doesn't matter if you act on it or not. And the sources suggest they're everywhere, even among the ordinary people, the proles.
And there's this terrifying idea, especially connected to the Ministry of Love, that they can actually find out what you're thinking, get inside your head.
Which is deeply unsettling. Maybe the most disturbing detail about their reach, though, is that bit about the Parsons children.
Oh yeah, the kids playing spies, shouting things like, "You're a Eurasian spy! I'll shoot you, I'll vaporize you."
It's presented not just as a game, but as something genuinely scary, like watching tiger cubs playing, knowing they'll grow up into man-eaters.
The text explicitly notes it's almost normal for people over 30 to be frightened of their own children.
Because they're deliberately turned into these ungovernable little savages by groups like the spies, encouraged to report on adults, even their parents.
It all leads to that really stark line you read. Nothing was your own except the few cubic centimeters inside your skull.
But as you find out later in these pages, even that isn't safe in the end.
Which brings us to how the party controls not just actions, but reality itself. History, truth, even language.
Right, let's look at Winston's job. It sounds mundane, Records Department, Ministry of Truth, but what he actually does is, wow.
Yeah, he alters old news articles in the Times. If the party made a prediction about, say, Pig iron output that turned out wrong.
He rewrites the original prediction to match what actually happened, or maybe what they now say happened.
Same with promises, like the chocolate ration. If they promised it wouldn't be reduced, and it was, he goes back and changes the promise, erases it.
And it's not just occasional tweaks. It's a process of continuous alteration.
Applied to everything, right? Newspapers, books, films, photos, anything with political significance.
And the originals, poof, down the memory hole, incinerated. No proof left that anything was ever different.
So the past is constantly changing. A palimpsest, the text calls it. Scraped clean and rewritten whenever needed.
You even see him invent a person, Comrade Ogilvy, this war hero who never existed, and just write him into history, make him a fact.
It's mind-bending. But then it goes even further, doesn't it? O'Brien's claims.
Ah, yeah. That bit where O'Brien basically says the party controls physical reality. The stars are just bits of fire a few kilometers away.
And we could reach them if we wanted to, or we could blot them out. It's asserting total power over everything, even the universe.
He mentions a dual system of astronomy, using doublethink. That ability to hold two contradictory beliefs at once and accept both. It's fundamental to how this world works for party members.
So you must believe whatever the party says, even if it contradicts your own senses or logic.
And the main tool for shaping thought itself, which these sources detail really clearly for you, is Newspeak.
Right, and its purpose is explicitly stated, and it's chilling to diminish the range of thought.
To make dissent heretical thought, literally unthinkable, because the words for it won't exist anymore.
How does it work? Partly inventing new words, but mostly cutting words out, stripping them of unorthodox meanings.
The example given is free. In Newspeak, you can say a dog is free from lice, but the concept of being politically free or intellectually free,
that meaning is gone, eliminated. If you don't have the word, can you even form the thought properly? That's the terrifying question it poses for you.
Exactly. It's designed to shrink vocabulary, shrink thought. Even the grammar is simplified. Maybe brutalized is a better word.
Yeah, like think is both the noun and the verb. Adjectives use cumful, adverbs use cumwise, so speedful, goodwise.
It sounds clunky, but the point is reducing complexity, reducing nuance, making language a blunt instrument for party ideology.
And some Newspeak words you encounter pack a real punch, ideologically speaking. Belly feel, for example.
Right, meaning there's sort of blind, enthusiastic acceptance from the gut. Or old think.
Which automatically links any pre-party ideas with wickedness and decadence. These words aren't neutral, they carry judgment.
They embed the party line right into the language, replacing whole clusters of older, more complex ideas that are meant to be forgotten.
Okay, so you've got surveillance, control over history and reality, control over language. But it goes deeper into personal lives, relationships, social engineering.
Absolutely. The party's attitude toward sex and marriage, as laid out for you here, is incredibly cold.
Marriage exists for one reason only: to beget children for the service of the party. Full stop.
Sex itself is framed as this slightly disgusting minor operation, something clinical, joyless.
You read about groups like the Junior Anti-Sex League preaching celibacy, even talk of on artificial insemination to bypass intimacy altogether.
The goal seems to be to kill the sex instinct, or if not kill it, then distort it and dirty it, make it something unpleasant.
And it says party women are conditioned towards chastity from a young age and seem pretty successful at it.
But then you get this stark contrast with the proles, the ordinary masses.
Right. For them, prostitution is kind of tolerated, maybe even encouraged, as an outlet for instincts.
As long as it's kept furtive and joyless and strictly between proles, this submerged and despised class.
But for party members, promiscuity is the unforgivable crime. It's a definite double standard you're shown.
And the proles themselves, the sources describe them as being left alone mostly, like cattle is the phrase used.
Their lives revolve around work, family, small quarrels, films, football, beer, gambling. The simple stuff.
They aren't subjected to the same intense ideological pressure. The party doesn't seem to think it's necessary. Controlling them is not difficult.
Why? Because they seem to lack the awareness that things could be different. They're described as helpless, like the animals, in their acceptance of the present.
You see Winston flicker with this idea. If there is hope, it lies in the proles. Because they have retained some basic humanity, maybe. They're not monitored so intensely.
Yeah, but he also sees they're just not aware, not capable of organized rebellion as things stand.
There's that detail about the prole woman singing. The song itself is machine-produced nonsense, driveling lyrics from the music department's versificator.
But she sings it tunefully. makes it sound pleasant. It's a small moment, but it maybe shows their distance from party ideology, yet also their absorption in the everyday, the immediate.
This whole world you're exploring is also perpetually at war.
Right, the three superstates, Oceania, Eurasia, Eastasia, always at war with one of the other two.
And according to the book, Winston reads later, this has been going on for, 25 years?
But the kind of war described is odd. It has limited aims.
The states can't actually destroy each other. There's no material cause for fighting, apparently, and no real ideological difference between them.
Yet war hysteria is constant. Atrocities are normal, even praised if our side does them.
But physically, the fighting involves small numbers of specialists on faraway, vague frontiers, or around these floating fortresses. Casualties are relatively low.
For someone like Winston in London, war mostly means shortages, razor blades, decent food, and the occasional crash of a rocket bomb. Scary, yes, but distant for most people, most of the time.
The source in the book spells it out. War has changed its character. The reasons for war have changed.
It says the three states actually prop one another up. The ruling groups know the war has to continue forever without victory.
Why? Because there's no real danger of being conquered. The war isn't about winning.
It's about using up resources, keeping the population poor and focused on an external enemy, maintaining the power structure within each state.
And the alliances shift constantly, which is shown so vividly. You read Winston remembering being allied with Eastasia against Eurasia.
Then boom, mid-speech at a rally, an announcement comes. The enemy is now Eastasia. Always has been Eastasia.
Instantly, all the banners and posters are wrong. They get torn down, blamed on sabotage by Goldstein's agents. The past is rewritten in real time, and you just have to accept it.
It's dizzying. But despite this massive system you've seen described, the sources do show Winston trying to resist, trying to connect.
Yeah, his rebellion starts small, internally. Thought crime, just thinking forbidden thoughts, and then the huge step of starting that diary.
His dreams are significant too, aren't they? They show this longing for a different time, an ancient time, with privacy, love, real feelings.
Like the dream about his mother's sacrifice, or the Golden Country dream with the girl throwing off her clothes, an act symbolizing freedom, maybe destroying the party's culture.
And he actively seeks out tangible links to that lost past, that children's history book, the glass paperweight.
Visiting the prole pub, Mr. Charrington's junk shop, trying to remember nursery rhymes like oranges and lemons. He's searching for anchors.
Then Julia enters the picture. At first you read, he dislikes her intensely. That junior anti-sex lead sash represents everything he hates.
Right, that forced clean-mindedness. But then she slips in that note. Just 3 words. I love you.
A bombshell. An incredible act of personal rebellion in that world. A human connection breaking through.
And arranging their meetings is so difficult, so risky, with the surveillance is everywhere. Meeting in the woods, talking by installments, barely moving their lips.
There's that moment a rocket bomb hits nearby while they're together, war intruding even on this secret intimacy.
And Julia's attitude to rebellion is different from Winston's, isn't it? Much more pragmatic.
Yeah, she's about breaking the rules and staying alive. Personal pleasure, survival. She's not interested in the party doctrine or overthrowing the system, calls the brotherhood idea rubbish.
When she hears a thrush singing, she just says, he was just singing. No deeper meaning for her.
It contrasts with Winston's sort of intellectual, maybe more desperate search for meaning. But they both crave that safe space.
A hiding place that was truly their own, which leads them to rent the room above Mr. Charrington's shop.
And the details there matter: finding real coffee, real sugar, the absence of a telescreen. These small comforts, this privacy feel huge. You see Winston becoming genuinely tender towards her there.
And woven through this is O'Brien. Winston has this long-held fixation, this hope based on just a glance, a dream.
Now O'Brien is secretly on his side, part of the mythical Brotherhood resistance.
This hope leads him to O'Brien's flat. You get a glimpse of inner-party luxury, good food, wine, servants.
And crucially, O'Brien does something impossible. He turns off the telescreen, just for a bit.
Their conversation about the Brotherhood is intense. Fighting in the dark, obeying unknown orders, the inevitability of capture and confession.
But the idea that they can't betray everything, and O'Brien knowing the end of the nursery rhyme Winston's been chasing.
Here comes a chopper to chop off your head. For Winston, this feels like absolute confirmation. He's found them, he's not alone. And maybe you, reading it, feel that too, initially.
But all these fragile connections, these acts of rebellion, they lead, as the sources make brutally clear, to one place.
The Ministry of Love.
The capture is sudden, terrifying. That voice from the hidden telescreen in their room, "You are the dead," followed by, "The house is surrounded."
And Mr. Charrington, the seemingly harmless old shopkeeper, turns out to be thought police. Then the black uniformed men arrive. It's over.
The experience inside Minilov, in the cells, is depicted as utterly dehumanizing. Constant bright light, no way to tell time.
Physical discomfort, filth, and you see encounters with other prisoners that ramp up the dread. Ampleforth, the poet, arrested for leaving God in a poem.
Parsons, Winston's neighbor, blubbering but somehow proud his kids turned him in for thought crime, mumbled in his sleep.
A woman who just collapses in terror when told she's going to room 101. And that poor skull-faced man who chooses starvation then gets his fingers broken before being dragged off to room 101 anyway. The fear of that room is palpable.
Plus constant hunger, thirst. It's breaking people down physically and mentally even before the main event.
And the torture, the interrogation, the sources don't shy away. It's described as routine, but devastatingly real.
Beatings, fists, truncheons, steel rods, boots, forced confessions to everything, real crimes, imaginary crimes.
You read Winston's experience, the pain, the disorientation, trying to hold out, trying to compromise, just trying to understand why.
And then O'Brien walks in, not as a fellow prisoner, but as the tormentor.
This is where the mask comes off completely. O'Brien lays bare the party's motive. It's not for some greater good. Not for utopia.
Power entirely for its own sake. That's what he says. And that truly chilling line, the object of persecution is persecution. The object of torture is torture. The object of power is power.
No ideology beyond control itself. It's a devastating revelation for you, reading along with Winston.
O'Brien then proceeds to dismantle Winston's reality, forcing him to accept that Oceania has always been at war with Eastasia, denying Winston's own clear memory.
Making him doubt his senses with the how many fingers routine, using pain and drugs to show that the party dictates reality. Sometimes there are 5, sometimes there are 3, sometimes there are all of them at once.
He calls Winston the last man, shows him his broken, emaciated body in the mirror, a symbol of the party's power to degrade.
And explains the philosophy. The party creates human nature. People are infinitely malleable. Heresy will be crushed, but more than crushed, converted.
The heretic has to be brought back, made utterly penitent, not just obeying, but loving the party, crawling back willingly.
And the final stage of that conversion, the place where resistance finally shatters, is room 101.
Which contains, as O'Brien says, the worst thing in the world. And for Winston, you learn his deepest fear is rats.
So room 101 for him involves a cage with rats being fitted to his face. It's personalized terror designed to force the ultimate betrayal.
And it works. Faced with unbearable horror, Winston breaks. He screams it. "Do it to Julia! Do it to Julia! Not me, Julia!"
That's the moment. The betrayal of the one person he loved, the one connection he had, just to save himself. The party has won that battle.
The aftermath described is eerie. Winston recovers physically in a cell, gets fatter, exercises, feels pride in his body again.
But mentally, he's changed. He accepted everything. The past is alterable. Oceania was always at war with Eastasia. The lie is truth for him now.
Surrender is easy, the text says. It's yielding to the current.
There's that brief flicker you read about, a memory of Julia, a surge of love, thinking that was freedom. The wish to die, hating Big Brother.
But it's gone almost as soon as it appears. A ghost of his former self.
His final state, after release. He's reintegrated. Fatter, red-faced, sits at his usual cafe table. Gin and the newspaper arrive without asking. He's docile. Managed.
He plays chess, anticipates military news, even has fleeting thoughts about the party's potential defeat. But it's all mixed up now, confused, part of the acceptance.
And he meets Julia again, by chance. Their conversation is chillingly flat. They admit they betrayed each other. "All you care about is yourself," she says. "All you care about is yourself," he echoes. There's no real emotion left between them.
And the very end of these excerpts, he traces 2 + 2 + 5 in the dust. He looks up at the poster. He's won the victory over himself. He loved Big Brother. Game over.
So yeah, that's the journey these particular pages take you on through this meticulously constructed world of control.
Surveillance, rewriting history, manipulating language, destroying relationships. It's relentless.
And seeing the details the text provides, the telescreen, the memory hole, Newspeak, the Proles situation, the pointless war, the Ministry of Love. That's what really helps you grasp the chilling effectiveness of it all.
It shows you a system designed to strip away everything: privacy, autonomy, truth, love, until only the party remains.
And it really leaves you thinking, doesn't it? But based just on these sources. If truth and memory are completely malleable, if reality is just whatever the powerful declare it to be,
Yeah.
what even is truth?
And maybe more personally, what allows someone, anyone, to hold on to their inner self, their own reality, when faced with that kind of overwhelming systematic pressure designed specifically to break them? Something profound for you to reflect on.